Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this. Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Every time I say it, it's going to suck even more.
Everyone's idiots.
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landen.
Hello.
And Caleb.
Hi.
And we are here to talk all things tech this week. And technically, maybe a little bit of last week. We weren't here last week. There wasn't a lot that was happening.
No, not much.
So we'll have a little comments here and there from last week. But hey, we got quite a bit on the docket here. So we're going to get right into this because, yes, we need to just start. Otherwise, Caleb will just start talking and just keep going. And it's hard to
just keep going.
It's like herding cats. You got to just go this way. This way.
Listen, when I was a baby, they stuck an Energizer battery in my back, and I've just been going ever since.
Okay, let's start with Apple. Looks like Apple launches even more hardware. Exciting. Unfortunately, it's AirPods Max.
Yeah, so... And I say unfortunately because I think the AirPods Max are stupid. And they've gotten even more stupid in the years since they've launched. Not because they haven't gotten better, right? That's not the reason they're more stupid. It's because Apple has continued to launch better and better, cheaper products. So now your options are a set of brand new AirPods Max 2, which are essentially just the exact same headphones as the original AirPods Max. The USB-C version of the AirPods Max, but with this, updated internal hardware of the latest AirPods Pro. Okay? So you can get that. It costs $550. Or, for $500 on an education discount, you can get a brand new MacBook Neo.
Yeah.
Or you can get an M4 Mac Mini. With an education discount again. The AirPods Max make absolutely no sense as a product. The only reason to buy these headphones now or ever was because, I guess there's two reasons. First reason, you have so much money, you literally don't know what to do with it, and you just buy the most expensive version of every single product you can find. And if that's the case, then yeah, I think that AirPods Max are probably, if not the most expensive, then one of the most expensive fully wireless headsets that you can buy. But if that's really the case, then my friend, you can spend actual pants thousands of dollars on high-end audiophile headphones. Do that instead. Okay, if that's really what it's just you have so much money, do that. It's less convenient, but the lack of convenience actually makes you look better. Did you know? There you go. The other reason to buy a set of AirPods Max is because you're a gigantic, massively insecure poser, and you just care about the appearance of the things. And if that is you, then I welcome to the year 2026. Therapy is okay. You can just go to a therapist, talk about your insecurities. It's going to be way more effective than AirPods Max and possibly a lot cheaper. So just saying it. Don't buy this product. It's dumb. You can get better sounding headphones that cost way less and have pretty much all of the same features as these things. Sony makes them. They're called the WXR1000XM something or others, or I can't remember. Sony's
They have
bad
a
at
much
naming
worse
things.
name, yeah.
Yeah.
Sony's bad at naming things, but the headphones are still better. Or
Yeah.
you can get like the latest version of the Bose Quiet Comfort, whatever
Yeah.
line, like those will be better. I just actually, frankly, nothing makes some decent over the ear headphones. They look cooler than the AirPods Max, if we're
Yeah.
being completely honest, and they weigh a heck of a lot less
Yeah.
and sound probably just as good in terms of the audio quality. I guess maybe like the noise canceling's not going to be as good, but who freaking cares? They cost like $200, way less. So yeah, if you have $500 to $600 to spend on an Apple product, the AirPods Max is the stupidest way you could possibly spend that money. Now that they have discontinued the stand for the Pro Display XDR.
Yeah. You know, my favorite part about this product page on Apple's website is if you scroll far enough down, they have a comparison part of it, comparing the AirPods Max 2 and the AirPods Pro 3. And right off the bat, the price. It's half the price, more than half the price for the AirPods Pro 3. And then when you look at the features of the two, it's like, oh, these are basically the same, except for the AirPods Pro 3 have more features. Huh.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
Interesting. Maybe buy those. You could buy 2 pairs of AirPods Pro 3 for less money than the AirPods Max 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Again, education discount being a thing, but also refurbished store is a thing. So if you can get yourself like a factory refurbished pair of AirPods Pro 3 to go with your factory refurbished M4 Mac Mini, you'd spend about the same amount of money as the new AirPods Max 2s, and you'd have a computer and a better set of headphones.
Yeah.
One of the best computers that you can buy in that price range, in fact. So it's a dumb product. It really is. If you've got $500 to spend with Apple, maybe consider a MacBook Neo or a Mac Mini. That's what I would say.
Good. All right. Man, I mean, I guess this kind of flows into the next little thing here. Since we're talking about it. Turns out the Neo is basically an existential threat to Windows laptops. So
yeah.
Continue.
So this was a fun one. What was he, like this chief technology officer or something? One of the high up executives with Asus on an earnings call this past week made the comment that the MacBook Neo had caught the PC laptop industry by surprise, and that they were all worried about it. Like that they were all greatly concerned with what that could possibly mean for the future. And I can see why, right? We're talking, again, $600 laptop, $500 if you have the education discount, which it's honestly not that hard to get an education discount on these things. If you are a student, you qualify for it. If you know a student, get them to buy it for you. If you work with any kind of educational institution, you've got it. You're good. Like, it's nuts. Like, if you have an email address that ends in .edu, you can get the education discount on these things. It's not that hard. So, yeah. And if not, then just give $500 to your nearest high schooler and have them walk into the store and purchase it for you, right? Like, so this is a $500 to $600 laptop. So let's go ahead and compare it to every other Windows powered $500 to $600 laptop. A few key things about the MacBook Neo. 500 nits of screen brightness, which compared to the MacBook Pro is nothing, right? Those things start 1,000 nits with peak brightnesses of 1,500 plus, right? So 500 seems really pathetic in comparison. However, fun fact about just about every single Windows laptop under $1,000, it's 300. They all peak out at 300 nits of brightness. So 500 nits absolutely curb stomps them in terms of especially outdoor visibility. Okay, so there's that. The build, the material. This thing is made entirely out of aluminum. Okay, just like every other Apple laptop, it's built very well. It is solid. It feels solid, right? You push on the keyboard, it doesn't flex, right? Like you can't twist and fold it and stuff like that. You can just one finger with it sitting on a table, you just lift up on the lid and it opens and doesn't pick up the entire laptop. Basically every Windows laptop in this price point is made of plastic. If it's possible to open the thing with one finger, it's because the whole thing weighs like 4 to 5 times what the Neo does. If it's lightweight like the Neo, then the hinge is not calibrated for that. You try to open it with one finger, you're just going to pick the whole laptop up, right? Doesn't work that way. All of these things, even when they're closed, you could just grab them and twist them and watch the entire thing flex and twist and do all sorts of crazy nonsense because it was built like crap. There hasn't been any real competition in this space for so long. They've all just like kind of agreed. Everybody making laptops around $500 had basically just agreed, you know what? Nobody cares about the people at this price point. They're poor. Our profit margins aren't good enough for us to care about them. So just make garbage. Does it function? Technically, yes. And somewhere, somebody's all like, well, yeah, but at least they get full-fat x86 processors from Intel and AMD. And okay, true, which means the battery life is going to be worse than the Neo, even though the Neo's battery is less than half the size of some of these laptops. However, before we talk about that, we should probably mention that in terms of benchmarks, at that price point, the Neo actually competes pretty evenly. Like, it's a fairly level playing field right there. The only real standout in the $500 to $600 laptop market, counting the MacBook Neo, is actually the Qualcomm Snapdragon-powered Windows laptops. And they only stand out because they do so much worse than all of the other options. So yeah, that's kind of where we have landed with this. Over the past couple of weeks, the MacBook Neo is just better than everything else price competitive with it, kind of to an absurd degree. And the PC makers themselves recognize this. And I think they are a little bit scared, hopefully scared in the right way, which is scared of like, crap, they're going to take our market share. They're going to take our profits. We better compete. Let's release something good at $500 to $600. And hopefully not scared in the lines of, oh no, we have to sell these laptops for even cheaper and then put ads on them to, monetize them more effectively or something like that. Hard to say exactly how it's going to play out, but it sounds like Windows laptops could hopefully get better as a result of the Neo existing, which is the best possible scenario, right? That's the best case option.
Well, you want to know what has happened? I'm looking at Best Buy's website. I was just curious.
Oh,
and I typed in a price value of a minimum of $400, a maximum of $600. Okay. Right where this Neo is going to fall. Almost everything that I'm seeing, at least on the front page, I haven't gone past page 1, but pretty much everything that's there in the laptop space it's on sale for between $450 and $550 because their normal prices are more money, but they're like Caleb said, these companies are like, oh crap, we got to put our actually competing products at a cheaper price so we can start to sell them. Like, yeah, that's like pretty much almost everything has like save $270, save $230, save $40, save $300. Like, dang. This one is a $600 laptop that normally is $900.
Holy crap.
So, like, if you are in the market for a Windows PC, maybe now is the time to buy them
I
because
was going to say,
you're getting a pretty
Mac-
good value for at least the price wise.
yeah. No, Apple threw y'all a bone.
Yeah, pretty much all of these do also come with 16 gigs of memory. So that's double what Apple's giving you. But
Yeah.
it also is coming with Windows 11. So you win some, you lose
Yeah.
some. But
It's 16 gigs of RAM with Windows 11 is effectively 8 gigs, but
yes.
Yeah. No, so there you go. We're already seeing the splashes that the MacBook Neo has caused. That is amazing. I love it. So yes, apparently an existential threat to all Windows laptops, and cool. Like, I don't think this is the kind of thing where like, oh yeah, Apple's going to take over the world. I think they're going to sell a ton of these things for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. It's a good device at that price. I think what mostly it means is that we're going to see better competition from Windows laptop makers, which is great. That's again, like I said, that's the ideal scenario. So that's good. Another fun tidbit of the Neo that has come out over the past couple of weeks. iFixit did a teardown. A few people have done teardowns. This is apparently the most repairable Mac laptop since like 2011.
Yeah.
And to be clear, in 2011, you could replace the storage and the RAM by yourself with just removing like 9 or 10 screws. I had one of those, upgraded both the RAM and the storage on it over the years. That thing lasted me for like 12 years or something like that. It was a great little machine. This is not going to do that, right? It's running an iPhone chip. The RAM is actually fused to the CPU die. You can't replace the RAM on that sucker. And the storage is soldered onto the main board. Okay, but everything else, right? There's no glue at all in the entire thing. Everything is held down by screws, which is the first Apple laptop that has done that since like 2015, maybe? I'm not even sure about 2015. Those might have still been using glue.
Yeah, I don't know.
2011, I know for sure. I think maybe up to 2015, they were not using glue. Then the 2016 MacBook Pros happened and everything was horrible. But yeah, no glue holding down the battery. All of the ports are on daughter boards that just have a little connector. So if one of your ports breaks, you can replace just that port. The keyboard isn't glued in. That can be replaced separately. The trackpad isn't glued in. That can be replaced separately. It's 4 screws to take off the entire display. Unfortunately, the display is fused into the lid. So if you have to replace the display itself, you'll have to also replace the back case of the display. But that's like kind of the only downside. Nothing else is like glued in or made impossible, which for the longest time with Apple laptops, if you wanted to replace the keyboard because the key broke or something like that, got stuck, you had to replace the entire case of the machine because it was glued in such a way that you couldn't replace just the keyboard, which when they were selling the butterfly keyboard on these things was a real problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, good times. But no, this is like one of the most repairable Apple laptops. Is the most repairable Apple laptop of the past decade at least, and one of the most repairable Apple laptops ever. Yeah. So it's pretty good. It's a good device.
Yeah.
I like the MacBook Neo. I still wish they had just called it a MacBook,
Yes.
but that's okay.
Well, friggin', it's kind of funny because, like, Windows is just getting beat up quite a bit, and they finally have actually acknowledged that type of thing. They're like, hey, it came out later. I wasn't really going to say anything about this, but it was just like, they're like, hey, we promise Windows 11 will be better later this year. And it's just funny to hear, hey, we were scared of this too, other than Steam and everything else. So,
Yep.
Interesting. Freaking Windows. All right, let's move on to some Google news. Google now using AI to change headlines that appear in search.
Yeah, so this was a fun one that I just became aware of yesterday, but I think it was an investigation by The Verge that found this one out. Google has started prototyping and experimenting with just essentially, well, it says it right there, using AI. When you go to search for something, the AI is going to scan through the search results and rewrite the headlines of the articles and websites and stuff that it serves up to you in order to more closely match what it thinks you would like to see. It's going to use your past behavior with the search engine to try and anticipate what you want to see and then change the headlines so that's what they say, which is wild to me because that's like not what search is for.
Yeah.
Like that's, whoa, huh? These people wrote the headlines that way for a reason, and knowing what the person who wrote the headline did with the headline is part of the information I need to know as to whether or not I want to click on it and read further.
Yeah.
That's kind of a crucial and important part of the news delivery cycle, you know? There's also the fact of like, it's changing the headlines to basically fit my echo chamber that you have placed me into, Google. How much longer before you start changing the content of the articles to fit my echo chamber? How much longer is it before we're just all like fed into programmatically determined buckets and only given tiny pieces of information because the AI overlords think, yes, that's what they want to see? I hate every part of this. I hate every part of it. It's all bad for society. Google, quit it. Stop. Gosh dang it. They took the let's be evil off of the wall of the building, or let's not be evil, don't be evil, out of their mission statement. And it's just, it's been downhill ever since.
Pretty much.
They're just evil now. What the heck?
Gosh dang, that's horrible. All right. Let's go ahead and move into some general tech news. This failed miserably the first time, but why not try it again?
Speaking of being evil, Amazon. So,
Yeah.
So what I typed there is referencing to is this was in 2014, listener. You may not remember this because it failed that miserably. Amazon launched the Fire Phone back in the day, and it was basically a Amazon store in a phone with some stupid little gimmick that happened to be popular at that time of, technology. And at that time, the stupid little gimmick happened to be 3D screens. And that was the big thing on the Fire Phone, is it had Amazon's Fire OS, and it was obviously like made to get you to use Amazon's services. And at that time, it was mostly just Amazon's website. They did have, obviously, Kindle stuff, and I think Amazon Video was a thing at the time. But that was about it. Maybe Amazon, I don't know if Amazon Music was, it definitely wasn't what it is now, where it's a legitimate competitor in the music space. Back then, it wasn't. It was there, but it was just kind of, that's it, there. It was, a thing. But, and like I said, the big gimmick at the time was companies trying to do 3D things, where there was movies or screens, or you could make your own 3D video that you couldn't watch on anything because you didn't have a 3D TV. But like Amazon did this in their phone, and I got to play with one for a while. It was kind of cool for about 10 minutes. And that was it. The OS itself was absolutely garbage, which still to this day, Fire OS sucks, in my opinion. Like, I just literally today was trying to do something on one of my kids' Fire tablets that we bought them a few years ago, and I absolutely hate that operating system with a fiery passion.
That's why it's called Fire OS.
Because you want it to, you want to set it on fire after 10 minutes of using it. But apparently, they didn't learn from this, and now 12 years later, someone else thought of the idea. So now it's going to work, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, someone else's idea, and
Yep.
the obvious gimmick built into this phone nowadays. I'll give you one guess as to what that is, listener. It's AI.
Yeah.
And that means the phone's going to be worse, because at least the 3D aspect of the phone beforehand was kind of fun to look at and kind of cool, and actually did produce a quote-unquote 3D look on the phone. This is just going to be hot garbage, because that's what Amazon's AI is. And their Fire OS is even worse than their AI, which is hard to believe, but is true. I don't get this. They've also the reports that I've read from different articles are saying how this is also going to, like, they're going to rely on the idea of basically vibe coded apps. Like, they're wanting it to not have an app store entirely. It'll just have whatever apps come on top of it, and then you can make your own apps with vibe coding to do what you need to do. Which, listener, does work in some cases, but in most cases, that's a bad idea. Like, if you're trying to do something very specific to what you need it to do, okay, maybe that'll work. And from what I understand, vibe coding works better on a computer than it does on a phone. So, whatever.
Well,
I don't know what
well,
Amazon is trying to do here, but man, it seems like a really stupid idea.
You know, and all of the instabilities associated with Amazon's web services with AWS over the past 6 months or so have been directly related to vibe coding. And it's widely reported that the reason Windows 11 sucks so bad is because Microsoft keeps insisting that all of their developers vibe code the OS. Like, it's not good. I don't know why people keep doing it like this is the solution, this is the future, this is the... It's not. It's not. The future... There are entire companies that exist now to clean up vibe-coded code bases. Like a company will have vibe-coded an app with a couple of developers. It'll be broken. They'll send the app to this company, and the company will just redevelop the entire thing basically from a human standpoint so that it works. And then send it back. It's so weird. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that Amazon is doing this, but why? But whatever.
Because listener, like I said, the first Fire phone was such a huge flop. Like, they put so much money into that thing to sell basically none of them. Like, I can't remember. I saw a number somewhere. It was like $150 million worth of inventory that they just had to eat because they couldn't sell it. And the biggest problem is, like, I understand, like, even if you were to run it like as an Android device, running your own, like how Fire OS has ran on their tablets, where it does have Amazon or Android apps you can run on it, but they've even stopped doing that for the most part. So it's like, you've got to convince developers to develop for another OS that's probably not going to be used very much, if ever. It didn't happen then. It's not going to happen now. I just do not understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like it better if they came out with basically what they had before. Give me another 3D phone. That's something different. An AI phone, that's not different. That's just joining the club in a worse way to do it.
100%.
So stupid.
All right, well, speaking of stupid, Samsung is having a great time with their Trifold phone.
Hey, by which we mean they're canceling it. It's
Yep. Yeah.
You know, the
Samsung-
phone that's already on sale.
The $3,000 phone that for some reason people don't want to buy. I don't understand.
Yeah. It lasted for as many months as it cost thousands of dollars.
That's oof.
No. So, I mean, listener, yes, we talked about the Trifold phone when they announced it. They're going to stop selling it at the end of this month. In fact, they've already stopped manufacturing it. They're going to sell through their remaining inventory and then stop. So this is, to be fair, not a case of a phone that is just not selling as well as they thought it would, right? This isn't Amazon eating $150 million worth of inventory. This is Samsung legitimately just looking at the phone and going, we can't sell this. Even at this price, even at like $2,800, they couldn't sell the thing because there were no profit margins on it, because the cost of storage and RAM has gone up so significantly since they designed it, since they announced it, that there's no point. They can't make money off of it. And so they have stopped making it. They'll sell through the remaining inventory, and then probably they'll come back to the concept after RAM has stopped sucking quite as hard as it does right now. So
I did see something saying that they do potentially have plans on coming out with a second iteration next year, along with another type of device in this category.
Yeah.
But that's not for sure. And like, I read a report. Now, obviously, this is just people speculating and based on what, like, people that they know and whatnot, that even in Korea, where Samsung is based, only sold roughly 6,000 of these phones.
Yeah.
Which, like, Korea is, like, Samsung is by far the most used phone in Korea. Partially because it's based out of there, and partially because, like, they just love Samsung phones in Korea. And they only sold 6,000 of these devices there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And which, you know, goes to show they were not making a ton of them.
No.
Right? Because it's not even that they haven't sold as well as they were hoping. There's just no point in selling them.
Yeah.
And that's, like, I get it. It's very much a case of like, this thing there's no way to make money off of it, even with incredibly low sales expectations. It's just the bill of materials and assembly cost of the thing is the cost of the phone. And unlike game consoles and stuff like that, they're not selling it at cost. That's not how Samsung works. Like, that's not the point. So yeah, good times to be Samsung.
Yes. All right. So, next thing is, in a shocking turn of events, Motorola is beating Samsung.
This might also be a reason for why Samsung is getting rid of the Trifold, because, shocker, people do want folding phones, but they want the small ones. And this proves it because, according to the IDC, which I can't remember what that stands for, but people that keep track of, like, what phones are being used, like, via, they look at different websites and, like, what phones are accessing those websites and stuff like that. But Motorola holds, at least in the US, 50% of the foldable market.
Whoa.
Which they only have 2 phones. Which, to be fair, Samsung only has 2 phones, but they have 2 different styles of phones.
Yeah.
But obviously, this goes to show that, it shows 2 things. One, people do want a folding phone, but they want one that gets smaller, not bigger. Which I've said makes the most sense for most people anyways.
Yes.
And this proves that. But the other thing that it proves is that people don't want to spend $2,000 on a folding phone. And Motorola,
Also, yes.
like, their most expensive folding phone right now is under $1,000. Now, they are launching the Razr Fold, which is one that goes to a bigger screen, and that's going to start. What was it? 15. I can't remember if there's a price. I want to say it was around $1,500. But still, it's like, obviously people want the smaller phone. And that makes sense because, duh. Phones are already big. Let's make it so you can still have a relatively big device, but make it smaller to fit in pockets and purses and bags and things better. It just makes more sense. But yeah, when I heard this, I'm like, wow. I mean, I expected the smaller phones to do better in general, but the fact that Motorola is winning by that much, that's impressive. Good job, Motorola.
Yeah. No, and seriously, I mean, I've been saying it ever since folding phones were a thing. That, like, listen, if anybody who has a brain at these companies is going to recognize that more than 50% of the population, statistically speaking, would prefer that because they have pockets on women's pants.
If they have pockets, they're smaller.
If they have pockets at all, yes. And so, yeah, they want a phone that is a normal size phone that gets smaller. And every time I hear arguments against this, it's from people in the tech press. It's always from the tech press. They're like, but no, the bigger screen makes so much more sense. I can be so much more productive on this device than I can on a regular phone. And I'm like, you're right. You want to know what a phone is for 99.9% of the population? Communication and entertainment device, not productivity.
Yeah.
They don't care about it being more productive. They want it to be more convenient without taking away the ability to endlessly vertically scroll on TikTok. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Does their chat app work? Yep. And is it better on a candy bar style phone than it is on your stupid 7-inch square tablet? It sure is. And does TikTok look better on? No, it doesn't. The videos are all still the exact same ratio. They're just in the middle of a screen with giant black bars on both sides instead of being formatted correctly. 100% better for most people, the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that this has been going on for years in my head, but I'm glad to hear that the numbers back that up.
Well, it's funny because, like, going back to what we talked about before with the Trifold being canceled, but you if you were listening or if you've paid attention to tech media, tech news, they're like, all the reviews on the Trifold's like, this is the foldable everybody wants. It's like, no, this is the foldable you want. This is not the foldable everybody wants. And these numbers prove that. And the other thing that I like about Motorola beating Samsung in this is because they also made the outside display of the phone extremely usable. You can do most things. Well, okay, you can do everything on that outside display. Some things are going to be awful to do, like TikTok or that type entertainment type of things are going to be horrible. You can do those on the outside display. Don't, but you can do everything else, like reply to a text message, take a phone call, like different things like that. Things that just make sense to be like, oh, this small display works great for this little thing. And then I can put it back in my pocket. I don't have to open my phone, do it, and then close it. Whereas on a Samsung flip phone, you do have to open the phone, reply to something, close it, put it back in your pocket. Yes, that might seem menial and like there's just little things here, but that's 4 extra steps that you don't have to do on the Motorola phone. So it does make sense for a lot of reasons why Motorola is beating Samsung when it comes to foldable phones.
Yep.
So I love this, and I want Motorola to continue to make these flip style phones because obviously they're doing pretty well with it. I think they will continue. And I also hope they continue to have the 2 different tiers of that because, the Plus is obviously the better one. It's got better specs. It's got the bigger display on the outside. But the fact that they have one for $500 is also fantastic.
It's pretty great.
So I love this story, and I want to see it continue this way because it's great. I love when Samsung loses to companies. I'm not biased at all. Don't worry.
No, we don't notice that at all. All right. Next piece of news here. Firefox confirms support for Windows 7 is still going for the next 6 months.
Yeah,
Wow.
so this was me trying to find positive things in the news this past week. But no, the latest version of Firefox confirms and continues support for Windows 7. And Mozilla has said, that they have multiple times put on their roadmap that support for Windows 7 was going to end at such and such a date. And that keeps getting pushed back about 6 months. So currently, we're expecting it to end in like the fourth quarter of this year. But maybe they'll keep pushing it even further. So if you're on Windows 7 and you want to be able to access the internet, like modern internet, you have to have a web browser that supports modern internet features and security to do that. And it's Firefox. They just keep pushing out the support. Still there. You can still download Firefox on Windows 7 and use it. Freaking awesome.
That is amazing. I read that 7 still? Wow.
It's 7. 7. Oh, what a good OS, man.
Okay. Samsung confirms AirDrop support coming to S26 series of phones soon.
Yeah, so as much as we've been dumping on Samsung this episode, here's some good news. Samsung has confirmed that they will be bringing AirDrop support to the S26 series in the next few weeks, from what I understand. And they've also said that we'll be coming to older phones and lower-end phones as well. So, great news.
Good.
Like I said, like Google announced that they were going to be bringing this to Android as a whole at some point, and they did announce with the Pixel 9 phones getting it recently. This is just going outside of that Pixel sphere of phones and into Samsung, which is the most popular Android phones out there are Samsung phones. So the fact that they're bringing it soon means way more people are going to be getting it, and that is excellent news, because being able to share media across platforms in a very easy to use way it just makes sense. And it's kind of the whole point of our podcast. You know, we want all these platforms to just work together and be friendly in some ways. Not always, because obviously we need competition. But
True.
you know, do the right thing and just make it easier for your customers, please.
I will take this opportunity to just remind you, listener, that, you know, on your Android phone or your iPhone, good idea to make sure that your default settings for your AirDrop or whatever it's called on Android, I can't even remember.
Quick share.
Quick share. Just make sure your default settings are for your phone to only be discoverable by your contacts.
Yes.
Right? Limited to contacts only, because if it's open to everyone, now there's double the number of people that could potentially start airdropping you pictures and stuff like that. Which in the past there are a lot of funny meme moments of people on airplanes or something like that sharing photos with people that were like, oh haha, this is a funny joke. There's also been plenty of moments of people sharing completely like horrible, inappropriate photos and documents with people that did not want that, did not want to be involved, did not want to see that. And so, just make sure that's set to contacts only.
Also, if you happen to just get a notification that someone you don't know wants to share a photo or video with you, just
deny that.
Deny it. Don't even look
deny.
at what it is. Just don't worry about it.
100%.
Because, it could be something funny and, harmless, but it also could be something very bad. So just deny it. Just don't accept it.
We're grateful that this feature is getting more integrated. It's good, but just a reminder, default behavior, contacts only.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to get in some gaming news. Nvidia unveils DLSS 5, and the internet is, to put it mildly, censored explicit. Beep.
I thought you were going to say something bit horrible there, Wes.
No,
and I think it is fair to say that whatever expletive you want to apply to this is putting it mildly with regards to the reception of DLSS 5. So, deep learning super sampling is what DLSS stands for. It was first introduced shortly after the production of ray tracing on the RTX cards, which, 20 series, back when that was introduced. And essentially what DLSS is machine learning that takes your low resolution image off of your graphics card and uses machine learning algorithms, which, they are technically, the way we use the term AI today, they are AI. And it upscales it to a higher resolution, which is then sent to display on your monitor. Okay, that's what the technology has always been from the very beginning. So what that means is what it is, it takes a 2D image, your graphics card, and they did this because of ray tracing, because ray tracing was so hardware intensive and still is. It takes that, low resolution image with ray tracing turned on and using genetic algorithms and machine learning techniques that are technically AI, upscales it to a higher resolution without a significant loss of detail, right? Like, that's the key. The first version of DLSS sucked. It was not good. There was a significant loss of detail, and it introduced a whole bunch of weird artifacting that was really problematic. DLSS 2 was much better. Huge leap forward, and it honestly did a pretty dang good job of making it so that you could take a 720p image, because that is all that your graphics card could kick out with ray tracing turned on or whatever, and take that image and upscale it to 1080p, and it would look pretty good. And you still had your great ray tracing, whatever, but it was just every frame, it was just upscaling it to a higher resolution, trying not to lose detail in the process. Added a little bit of latency, but otherwise not bad. DLSS 3, again, better quality, but that's where they started to do some questionable stuff. This was no longer just about making it so that your graphics card could use ray tracing and give you a playable, like, high resolution image. They were then concerned about frame rate, right? Okay, so what if your frame rate is not consistent? What if it hitches? What if we throw a completely fake hallucinated frame in between every other frame, right? Frame interpolation. We've talked about this on the podcast before. That's what DLSS 3 did. And every other frame, you turn that on, it would upscale the image, but then every other frame was generated by AI based on the previous frame. And then DLSS 4, exact same thing, except it could generate up to 3 frames in between every actual frame, which makes the image look smoother, but feels, apparently, I have not used it, but apparently feels pretty freaking weird to play, because your inputs have not gotten appropriately faster and smoother. You're still only playing at 30 FPS, not 120 FPS like the frame counter might be telling you, because a quarter, like 3/4 of your frames are being flippin' hallucinated by AI, right? They're generated. So DLSS has been getting significantly worse over the years in terms of it being a solution to allow you to have your ray tracing cake and eat it too. Okay? DLSS 5 is taking this to a whole new level. So DLSS 5 was pitched as a way to use AI, again, to improve the quality of the lighting and textures in your game after the frames have been, before frames have been rendered by the GPU. Okay? That's what it was pitched as. But the trailer just looked like they were slapping a generic AI filter over top of every single frame. So the internet exploded. They're like, you're just using generative AI to yassify all of these video games. And one of the most prominent is that, like, the most recent Resident Evil 9 Requiem, one of the main characters is a woman who is extremely just platinum blonde. And they ran a scene, like a cutscene with her through DLSS 5, and it completely changed her hair so that it was now she's a brunette that bleaches, and you can see dark roots and stuff like that. It's completely changed everything about her hair. And, you know, so what Nvidia said in response to all of this was that, no, it's not an AI filter. These are lighting improvements and texture improvements that are happening at the geometry level, right? So it's before, like, you know, information comes from the game, goes to the graphics card. Before the graphics card renders the frames, it applies an AI to it that is intelligently improving the quality of the scene lighting and the textures that have been put in there so that they appear more realistic, right? Totally. That's this cool thing that's happening. And everyone was like, okay, but it still looks like an AI filter has been applied to it. So, So that was, and I say Nvidia responded. That was Jensen Huang specifically, who, like, was it on Twitter or somewhere, said that.
Somewhere, yeah.
Then, like, literally the next day, this just, it was so funny how this happened. It was like 4 days of all this stuff going down. Basically, the next day, somebody, like, dug into it even deeper and talked to some Nvidia engineers, and come find out, it is not doing that. It's not at the quote-unquote geometry level. It's not happening before the frames are rendered. It is legitimately just, once again, taking a frame rendered by the GPU that is a 2D image, and it's applying filtering on top of that. It's just a generated AI image like ChatGPT could spit out that is using some kind of model that's trained on some kind of image pipeline to just generically make the frames look more realistic. And each frame is based on, you know, each change is based on the frame that it's fed, which you'd think would be like, oh yes, this is, like, you know, gonna be super accurate to the original source material. But the problem with that is that generative AI always is different. Like, you can feed it 700 identical frames, tell it to generate an image based on each of those to make it quote unquote more realistic. And every single one of them is going to be slightly different because that's how that works, which sounds an awful lot like a recipe for tons of weird artifacting and flickering in the gameplay as you play it. And then a lot of people talking to, you know, these NVIDIA engineers and looking at what NVIDIA has actually put out about this thing, it turns out that unlike what NVIDIA had said, where this is going to be easily controllable at a high level of finesse by the developers of the games when they implement DLSS 5 into their games, turns out that there's basically just a couple of checkboxes. It's either it's on or it's off, and you can maybe turn up the strength of it or turn it down. There's like 4 toggles, and all of them, if you turn it on at all, are going to result in changing the artistic intent of whatever you did with the game, up to and including, frankly, just making people look different, like changing their face shape and stuff like that to make it quote unquote more realistic. And I just gotta say, this is essentially just NVIDIA going, hey, we're not selling any new graphics cards this year. None at all. You know why? It's because all of our chip production is going to AI data centers. So here, we'll cut you a bargain. Because we're not going to sell you any more GPUs, we will instead give your current GPUs some of the AI slop that we've cooked up in the data centers with the chips that we won't sell to you. Here you go. It looks like ChatGPT ate your game.
Didn't they also mention that the presentation, they didn't really say it, but they found out later that you had to have like 2 of the 560s just to run this?
5090s.
Or that, yeah,
They were
5090s.
running it on 2 5090s. The game was running on one of them. The model that was AI yassifying all of the frames was running on a completely separate 5090. So, hey, if you really feel like you want a dual run 5090s, then DLSS 5 is for you. Now, to be clear, this is an early, this is not available tech, right? They're announcing it. It's going to be available later this year, which is just the biggest kick in the teeth. Like, hey, no GPUs. Here's some more AI.
Yeah.
Yeah. So presumably by then they'll have increased the efficiency of the model such that it can run on a single GPU alongside the game it's rendering. But what I will say is that the resources needed to run the AI model that is going to be changing the game that you're playing in real time could be better used by just using them to play the game. Just use those hardware resources to run the game. You'll get better frame rates, probably. It's the dumbest thing. This is just DLSS has gotten progressively worse since DLSS 2. Like, I recognize that the upscaling has gotten better with each successive iteration also, in addition to them adding these stupid features to it. But the features have made it worse. And we are to the point now where DLSS 5, I think that's worse than no DLSS at all. I would rather, that's what DLSS 1 was, right? It was like, turning this on maybe gives you a higher resolution image or a better frame rate at the same resolution, but it looks so bad it's not worth doing. DLSS 2 fixed that, right? Suddenly it was worth using. DLSS 3 and 4 just kind of added creep that made the game feel a little bit fuzzy and harder to play, which is maybe okay for a first person or a third person single player RPG or something like that, but certainly not okay for fast paced first person shooters or something. But now DLSS 5 is just hey, this is going to ruin your game. It's going to make every single game look the same. They'll all look like they were generated artistically by ChatGPT, which that's not artistic generation at all. So, this is very much a case of I would rather have no DLSS than DLSS 5. So they have now circled back. They peaked with 2 and they've now circled back down to this is at the same tier as 1. It's better to just have it off. So, cool. Good job, Nvidia. You're doing swell.
Doing something.
You're doing drugs. That's
what it is.
It's all the cocaine from the money that they're making off of selling the AI chips. That's what I blame for this.
Fair. Well, let's go ahead and move to another segment in our podcast here. One of the newest segments that we have, the bright side of life.
Welcome to the bright side of life. Hey! Hey!
All right, the bright side of life, listener. As you can hear from our brand new intro for the bright side of life. This is the segment where we, instead of always, since we talk about tech, and a lot of times we talk about tech, it's not really the happiest, if you will. And so we want to always try to end the show with something happy. Usually Landen does really well with his one more things. And sometimes he doesn't have the one more things for every show. Sometimes he has 2, but we want to make sure at least we end the show with looking at something bright side of life than technology that doesn't. Because if we would have ended this with Nvidia unveils DLSS 5,
would have been pretty depressing.
That would have been depressing. So we'll go ahead and start off with this is where we do with kind of a round table. We start with one of us, and each of us just tells what's one thing that we really appreciate for the week, something on the bright side of life. So to start us off, Caleb, what is your topic you want to talk about?
Project Hail Mary. So, listener, This is a movie that came out just a couple of days ago. I have not seen it, right? Okay. But I did see the trailers. Looks really, really cool. And I have a bit of a weird relationship with movies that are based off of books. If I see a really good movie based off of a book that I would really enjoy, odds are pretty high that I am not going to ever read the book. Because I'll be reading it and I'll think to myself, I could go watch the movie, get basically the same thing out of it, take a heck of a lot less time. And that's why I've never read Jurassic Park, for instance, So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I have not seen Project Hail Mary because I'm in the process of listening to the audiobook. I spent yesterday, 6 hours or something like that, out cleaning out my shop, doing some spring cleaning, organizing stuff, and listening to the audiobook for Project Hail Mary. It's outstanding. Like, oh my gosh, I'm having a great time. It's a really, really good book. Right up my alley. A lot of discussion of science and technology that is, and I got it, man, this is so rare in today's entertainment world. But the author, Andy Weir, he approaches the story and the writing from the perspective of what makes sense, as opposed to the perspective of what would be funny or what is the craziest thing that could happen right now. It's all like, well, okay, but if the craziest thing that could happen right now doesn't make any sense, then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And he's very leaning into the logic of the situation a lot, and I love it. Obviously, it's fiction, right? It's not real, but it's rooted so closely in reality and what logically follows for the rules that he has established that, no, I love it. It's great. And yeah, I'm about halfway through, not quite, about a third of the way through, and gonna finish it maybe this week, probably, and then I'll go see the movie, which I have heard is really, really good. So yeah, like good things do still happen in Hollywood and in novels and stuff like that these days, and that's my bright side this week.
That's awesome. I like it. All right. Well, Landon, you're up next.
All right, my bright side this week is once again sports related, because that's, I guess, been the happy part of my life the last little while. And right now, listener, if you don't know, it is the end of March, which there happens to be, as I'm calling it, a big sports ball tournament. Because if I say what it's actually called, we could get sued, unfortunately. It's a big college basketball tournament that happens every year around this time. The name usually is also associated with the month that it starts in. It doesn't end in this month. It starts in this month, ends in April.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not a huge, I don't watch a lot of basketball. It's not my preferred sport of choice when it comes to, if there's a sport on to watch, it's not one I usually pick. But I do enjoy watching this tournament. It is fun. There's a lot of good games going on. People actually care to win these games. It makes it much more entertaining. And there's been some pretty fun, close games, some good upsets. And it's just been it's been really entertaining as of recording, this is the first weekend. We're now finished with round 2 of the tournament. And it's been a lot of fun so far. And that's what's making me, that's my bright side of life for this week, is a big sports ball tournament that's happening right now.
Good obscuring there. That was
Good obscure. Hey, it's the bright side of life here, okay? All right, well, go ahead and do mine. I really appreciate local music stores. Now, the music stores that I'm talking about is actually more for instrument music stores, not so much a CD or anything like that. I've been enjoying this a little bit because I've been got an instrument for my daughter, and we're looking for another instrument for my son. My daughter, we got an acoustic guitar. She wanted to learn how to start playing, and so we got her one. It's got some really nice books and a couple things, and it's just a local store there. They don't have a bunch, but it was really nice because we can go in, just mess, talk, pull down a guitar, mess with it, pull down any instrument that they got there, get on the drum sets, everything, and just mess and just enjoy, So it's been quite the adventure doing this. Found out my daughter really wants to learn that. My son really wants to bang on drums, and so he signed up. He signed up for percussion and the band for next year, and so we're getting him ready. And he's so excited. And I what pushed me towards this was, I was like, I wonder what he listens to when he hears music. So I was talking to him, and I was like, hey, when you hear this song, what's the parts you listen to other than the voice? I mean, if that's what you listen to, that's what you listen to. And he's like, I liked listening. He's like, I hear the pa-cha, 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 and he's telling me the numbers. I'm like, okay. So I took him to the store, and I was like, here, put these headphones on, and I want you to start banging on these pads. And he's like, okay, just kind of looks at me, puts them on, and he grabs the sticks, he starts banging on the pads, and he just gives me the look of, and then he starts messing and just going, and he's like, Dad, listen, I think I know this, and he's just going, and I'm like, yep, I think I found his instrument, so, yep, so exciting, so, yeah, and like I said, I got my daughter her guitar, she was really excited for it, she's been learning, and so we went in there, actually Friday, and we grabbed a few of the musical books that they've got there for songs. She actually picked up the musical book for The Greatest Showman. So we picked that one up. She's getting into musicals as well, and getting, so I was like, let's check this out. And she's like, wait, they have this to learn the guitar? I was like, well, it looks like it's guitar, the vocals, and the piano and everything. She's like, okay, get it. I'm like, sweet, let's get it. We'll learn it together. So local music stores. It was just great to go in and do all that. So it's been fun. So
there you go.
I guess support your local music store.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Do that. So. They need it.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Unless, Landen, you got one more thing for us?
No, I don't.
It's funny because I sit there and I'm like, is he going to play it? Is he going to play it? And if you don't know what I was meaning there, listener, that was my voice saying Yahoo very loudly. But I guess that'll be a surprise for the next time. He has one more thing. So, well, we appreciate you listening to the end of the episode. And as long as you have been listening to the podcast, we do appreciate it. If you do want to get a hold of us and check out our brand new website, you can at our website at callingallplatforms.com, as well as you can get a hold of us on our social media platforms. And we do have a YouTube channel that you can take a look at. Check out, click like, subscribe, or whatever the youngins say to ring the bell, whatever. On that one, you can. All right, listener, have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.